What's going on, EDC people, and what's our journey today? This is the Finch Cherry Bomb, and I'm getting ready to do my first impressions video on it. I really like it a lot. We'll talk all about what I do and don't like about the knife. There are pros and cons about it, in my opinion. But I'm playing with it like I do with all the knives before I do my quite serious reviews. And noticed that I had to do some kind of an emergency lobotomy. I'm going to it's got, for some reason, I've had a continuous issue with this particular knife where it continuously is getting grit and grime in the bearings, and I'm wondering if it's just that I got grit and grime in there at one point, and it just every so often is coming up, making causing an issue. Yeah, that looks like Torx bit size 8, by the way. Or if every time I put it in my pocket, it's actually gaining a lot of dirt for some reason. Most Finch knives are made by QSP or Bestech. Okay, and so I'm going to look around the camera for a second and clean this out. I'll probably fast forward this.
Yeah, there's some kind of, okay, well, so the point of this is, I'm not sure if it came dirty, if I got it dirty once really badly and just never took it apart and cleaned it well enough.
Maybe not. Okay, so it looks like you do have to take off the cover, which looks like T6. But I felt like I had to throw this on camera really quick so that I could show you in case, because this is a new model, maybe this is something that other people are experiencing. Maybe it's not, and it's something that you experience once and you just look it up on YouTube and here's the solution for you. That's one. Why is that not coming out? Come on. Right here is where I realized that the covers had to be taken off to access the hidden screws. If you look at the standoffs, you'll notice there are screws under the bone covers, or if you have a different model, they might be micarta, etc. The method will work regardless. Fast forward to where I know this information now, and here we go. We're going to complete the disassembly of the Finch Cherry Bomb. This is a follow-up. You should be seeing this in line with me starting to take this apart. It's also Halloween, or about to be Halloween, or maybe it was just a little while ago, depending on how when I get this video up. So happy Halloween, stay safe. And with that in mind, so yes, this is the Finch Cherry Bomb. Here's all my Finch knives. Let me get my tools. You're going to need Torx bits, Torx 8, and then 6s on these. You're also going to need a hairdryer. I have my Weehaw bits. I'm going to take out the 6. Well, let me start with the 8 and just get the pivot screw out. You always be careful when you're putting your bits into the screw heads, and make sure that they're firmly as flat in there as possible when you go to turn this, because you don't want to strip your screws on your knife. That kind of hinders the longevity of a knife in general. Now, this leads me to my next point. I have right here a semi-dusty empty pill container. What I'm going to use this for, and what I want to relay to you, hold the phone back up. Every screw on this knife, and as far as I know, pretty much every Finch knife, or at least most of them, is unique to the spot it's in. This screw needs to go back into this spot. That may seem simple to some of you, but I want to make that clear, because to those of us who aren't too smart, it takes messing that up a couple times to realize that. So to make it easy, I suggest, or at least what I'm going to do, is have a container where I take it apart systematically and put the screws in a spot where they're safe, so that when I go to reassemble, I really don't have any question as to where things go. Now, this will take up the screw slot number 2. Come on now. Yeah, they take a little bit. Sometimes you gotta unscrew them more than you think you do, okay? I'm reaching over to put this into spot number 2. I'm even going to do the clip the same way because yes, those screws matter also. This screw on the bottom of the pocket clip, the bottom screw, has to be the same, go back into that same spot. Because everyone makes those types of mistakes. Come on now. That's loose. Oh, it is. Okay. Another option would be to just leave the screws right in there like that, and then just to put that aside. But I'm just gonna play it safe. Now, no matter what, even though that was an extra step, the clip I can clean or do whatever, but I can put it aside and know that I can put this, I know where those screws are. Okay, so on the back side, we'll note that we have the pivot screw out, all these screws, but we can't access, if you look inside, there's 2 standoffs. We can't access those screws yet, but we've unscrewed everything. It doesn't come off. Hairdryer. Hopefully I can mute this a little bit for you, but I think it's necessary just to show you. I'm now going to take the pumpkin off the screen.
If you're doing this along with me, or if you're not going to wait until the end of the video, realize that this hairdryer does have a warm...
I started at about 6:55. It's now 7:05. I was being very cautious, so maybe I was taking too much time or being overcautious, but it's not hard. Use the hairdryer. It's not hard, but frankly, it's a pain in the butt. Okay? It's a pain in the butt to deal with. Here's what you have left. Here's the adhesive that was there. My advice, and what I'm going to have to do, is clean that adhesive off. It no longer, well, I think you're probably going to want to clean that off. But now what's important is we have access to that screw. Let me take a look at this. This is the inside of the bone, just to give you guys a look at it. This is where the lock bar insert is, I guess you could say, or cutout is, the lock bar cutout. Take a closer look, because not everyone's going to want to take these off to take a look and see what it looks like. Oh, see, if you heard that sound, that grinding, that's the problem that I was talking about at the beginning of the disassembly, when I was saying that I was having problems with this particular model from Finch getting dirtier than the other ones and then getting grindy. So I decided to do this like emergency lobotomy, but right now I'm having a real hard time figuring out why I can't get this scale off when I can clearly move it. You see, okay, so maybe I just need to twist it off. I just don't want to cut myself. That's always a good rule of thumb. Yeah, it's just snug, guys. That's all it was. I'm being a little over careful. So you have the caged ball bearing washer. I'm cleaning it off. It's very small, but the bearings are caged, so we're fortunate in that sense. Okay. Let's go ahead and remove the blade. You can see the stop pins, the internal stop pins on the cherry bomb. Didn't get a good look at those before I could take this apart, but I do see all that grime and dirt. I have a funny feeling it was user error, but in that process I wanted to show you how to disassemble a knife that was difficult like this. Well, not difficult, but something that gave me problems. I figured if it gave me a problem, it probably gave somebody else a problem out there in the world. Why not make a video? So I still have the bearing on there, so I'm going to be very careful about that. I'm wiping off all the crud
being very careful that that pivot doesn't fall out from under me when I don't lose that caged bearing system. Nice and clean. Yes, it is. I don't see any reason to go any further and to take this side off. Because I was concerned about the crest, but you know what? There's really no reason to do that. Clean that all out. Okay, nice. And then the stop pin track is nice and clean now. Okay. First step, right off the bat, I'm going to put the bearings back on. I'm going to take the blade, make sure I cleaned out the little, nubbin parts where the pivot goes through. The detent track, you can start to see the detent track as it gets used. Make sure that's nice and cleared out. The detent hole, the internal stops, don't have any debris on them or anything, right? Besides the paper towel dust. I'm going to put this guy right back on here. No, I'm not. I'm going to get my KPL and I'm going to lube that up. I'll be back. Okay, I'm not exactly sure what word I left off on, but I had to run and get the KPL, and just so everyone knows, that's the product I use for my knives. And now they have KPL, I think, heavy. Yep, that's the heavy. Here's the regular, and I think they have ultra light now. Anyways, obviously the regular one is your standard, and it goes a long way because you only need a drop or two. Really, I overdo it, and I really don't mean to, but I always do. Another place you could use the KPL heavy is on the detent track on a lot of knives. Now I'm going to fit the blade back on there. Okay, perfect. Maybe kind of rotate that around. Other bearing without dropping it. Okay. A little more KPL. For the sake of the video, I'm going to leave what's on there right now. Normally I would go ahead and take some rubbing alcohol and probably clean all that adhesive off. I don't have that handy right now, and I'm trying to see if it's really necessary for every single person out there to clean that off really thoroughly, or if it can just be reassembled and maybe that adhesive can be kind of rewarmed and just left in place, if you know what I mean. Kind of sandwich it all together, the back to where it was. Oh, one step I forgot. The internal screw. Back now. Here's the internal screw. And I know right where to go because of the organizer. I took it apart in the same way, so even if I make a little mistake and forget, I can just follow the order, and I wish this wasn't magnetized. Not going to bother with Loctite. I've had no problems with Finch knives. I've never really had to disassemble one before, actually, so this is the first time that I've run across this problem. And that's why this is the first time I'm making a video. I'll make sure I made that nice and snug. One of the reasons why I love Finch knives so much is because their knives have stories. And this knife is meant for fun, I think. That's my opinion. It's the cherry bomb for a reason. And I think cherry bombs, well, anyways, they were once fun. So I think it's a lot like the 1929 in terms of size. In that kind of Barlow-esque, bolsterish look. Maybe it's a different blade shape. If you're not a fan of the clip point on the 1929, this might be an option for you. I will tell you that in general, I like the action on the 1929 better. Just, hey, I'm just talking here, but I have two 1929s. I can show you right here. And they just have they're a little more snappy, a little more droppy, you know, and I've done really no maintenance to these now. Again, nice and snug in the screw head there, because you do not want to strip your screws. I'm sure Finch would give you new ones or sell you new ones, but it's just not a necessary thing if you're careful. As you can see, it is coming back together pretty well, if not perfectly. Need to put the pivot screw in. This is the last actual screw, so let me just make sure this is snug. Okay. Switch my bit. I've already cleaned that part out, and the pivot screw itself, because I took that out earlier. And I'm just going to do this same exact thing. Make sure I'm very firmly in there. I'm trying not to go too far to over torque it and strip it again. Just a careful matter of being careful. Probably a little too tight right now. Yeah, probably back off just a touch. But a lot of that is because of that adhesive. This side, you're obviously going to see that because it's the lock bar side, so there is going to be a gap there, and that is where you can start when you take this off. As you can see, though, even though I didn't clean it off, I just put it right back. Now what I could do is kind of rewarm this, maybe tighten it down with my fingers and just retouch up those screws. See if that adhesive kind of just reapplies itself. That's what I might try to do for this particular one. But for the case of this video, the knife is back together, and as far as I'm concerned, there's not much, beyond the fact that it's a pain in the butt to take that off, there's no issue putting it back together. Now, let's play with it a few times while we talk. That is how to disassemble the Finch cherry bomb, and that would apply. I might need to play with the tuning on the pivot screw a bit to make the action a little better. But that would also apply for knives like the 1929, okay, where they have hidden screws. So just, that kind of, this is specifically the Finch cherry bomb, but the technique of using the hairdryer will work on any of those models. That's that. And let's see, what else do I want to tell you about the disassembly? It's really rather easy, so long as you stay organized with which screws go where, and you use a hairdryer. It took me 10 minutes of using the hairdryer to get it really peeled off just right. Maybe I was being overcautious and not wanting to heat it fast, and maybe you can do that. Other people are smarter than I can answer that question. But I hope you enjoy the video or the disassembly. I hope that helps somebody. If it helps you at all, please hit the thumbs up button. Check out my channel. Consider subscribing. Let's see, we're just about to hit 500. I do have some knives to give away, guys. But anyways, Finch knives have caught my attention for sure. I was really in a position where I was stuck. Where do I fit in with? Because I like traditional knives, but they don't satisfy the fidget factor for me, and that's important. And they just don't do all of it. And in comes a company like Finch. I am also looking at Jack Wolf knives. This is the Finch's nest as of now. What do you guys think? Let me know what you think down below. Which one of these is your favorite? Have a great day. I'm going to get to editing. And happy Halloween. Stay safe.